Hello and welcome to the first video of Pony Power Garage. Pretty much what I'm deciding to do is I'm going to bring you guys along with me on these two builds I'm going to be doing. So I've got two Mustangs. I've got a 4.0 liter V6. It's gray and she runs perfect. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of background behind that, behind the whole story on how I got both these cars and all that before I actually show you the cars themselves. And then I have a 4.6 liter V8 convertible, all black, black body with black rims. And honestly, the reason why I'm deciding to do this is because I see a lot of YouTube channels and all that, and I do have a very strong passion for cars, and I essentially love working on them, creating just an insane build, and then once you're done you can look back and be like, yeah, like I built that, right? Let's talk a little bit about the history behind both these cars. So my first one was the V6, and I had gotten that probably 3 years ago. So it used to be my dad's, and my dad ended up blowing the engine on it, and it just sat for a long time, and he was gonna end up just selling it for just a couple thousand, just to get it out of his yard. And one day he was just like, you can have it, like, as long as you do the work, you buy the engine for it, you pull the engine, you put the new one in, you do all the work, you can have the car for free. So I was like, bet, like, and this is like 3 years ago, like, I'm like, bet, like, I'm down. And so I ended up getting it, and then it took me like a week and a half. I ended up finding a good dealer. He had sold me the same engine basically for $1,000 flat. So that was a good deal. So I found the engine, and this engine looked like it only had like maybe 80,000, 90,000 miles on it. It was in pristine shape. Like it was great. Like the engine itself looked like shiny. Like it looked great, which I'll show you guys in a little bit. Found the engine, he ended up actually letting me use his engine cherry picker as well, so shout out to him. I can't remember his name, this is a long time ago, but he let me use his cherry picker. So me and my buddy Seth, we ended up pulling the old engine out, which it's actually still sitting back here, which I can show you guys that as well. So he pulled the engine out, put the new one in, and still to this day she runs great. Like, I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it. There was times where I didn't think it was gonna really turn out that well, and I was also scared, to know like how long is this engine gonna last me? You know what I'm saying? Just stuff like that. And once it all ran and everything like that, I took very good care of it. And like I said, still to this day, I've been driving it for 2 years now, and still to this day, she's pushing and she's running very well. So fast forward, so about a month ago, I found on Facebook Marketplace there was this guy who was selling a 4.6 liter V8 convertible. Looked great in the pictures, so I'm like, hell yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna ask him to trade it, just flat out trade. He wanted $4 grand for it. My Mustang right now, brand new, or not brand new, but my Mustang right now as it sits is $4,000 or $5,000. So I was like, bet, like, I'm gonna, go there and try to make a trade with him and see if he'll just trade me out, just straight up, no cash. So I get there with my buddy Seth, and my buddy Seth's got Mustang tattooed on his arm. Like, he's a straight motorhead, loves Mustangs, loves Fords. And so I go with him, and we found everything wrong with it. Like, the convertible leaked, there was a dent in the side, the trunk didn't shut. Like, it was in bad shape. Definitely was not worth the $4 grand that the dude wanted for it. And keep in mind, this guy did not speak a lick of English, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to communicate with him through like Google Translate, and everything that I asked him about the car, he basically said like he doesn't know. Like, I don't know. Like, that's what he kept saying. I was like, I don't know. So me and my buddy Seth driving around the block, and the engine itself ran great. Like, it ran, you know what I'm saying, it was fast. Like, it was, it felt really good to be in the car of a V8. My buddy Seth basically was like, no, this is not worth it. Do not do this, and all that. So I ended up telling the guy no deal, and then we left. And I drove back home, which is about 30-45 minutes. And I'm getting home, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, and I had $1,000 cash I could have given him. I could have sat there and talked him down, to maybe $1,000, and you know, call it squares. Gave him $1,000 for the car, and you know, drove off with the car and my car. And so I get back on Facebook Marketplace and I start messaging him, and I told him, you know, if everything wrong with the car, you know, just it wasn't worth it, you know, for the $4,000. You're not going to find anybody that's going to buy that from you for $4,000. You're just not. And so I talked him down to $1,500, and so I drove up there, gave him $1,000 cash, and drove off with the car. I told him he can keep the title, you know, but I wanted to drive it for a week, you know, to make sure everything is good with the car. You know, I made him sign a contract, all that good stuff, so I knew everything was going to be legit, and I owed him $500 more dollars. And so I drove it back to my dad's house. This is on the weekend. This is a Saturday. Drove it back to my dad's house, and he had been drinking a little bit, and he gets in the car, and he does like a fucking half-mile burnout. Ends up blowing my fucking intake manifold, and blew the hose off of it and everything. And then him and I tried to like basically like ghetto rig it to make it, you know, work again, and it just wasn't working out. So we had to actually replace the whole entire intake manifold. So we took the whole top of the engine off, got to the injectors and all that, and you know, since we already had everything taken off, we were just inspecting everything, and it ends up being there was a bad radiator and a bad coolant housing, and there was just other things that were just going wrong with the car, which she still overheats, and we're still trying to figure that out, which I've actually, all the research that I've been doing, everyone's saying that I should basically just replace the head gaskets, or the head gasket, which, so that's kind of our next move. My brother, so long story short, I gave him the $500. We called the square. The car is mine, so my brother and I are basically using that car as our project car. So that's why I'm making this channel, is to basically build up the V6 as well as build up the V8. And that's kind of where I was going with that, was that, you know, my brother wants to just buy a Coyote engine, throw a Coyote engine in it, and you know, basically pull the V8 ad that's in it now, pull it out, put it in the V6. That way, you know, we have two V8s, and one's a project car. One's a lot faster. So that's kind of the story behind both the cars. I own both the cars flat out. I don't owe any payments on either one of them. And so that's kind of why I wanted to make this channel, is, you know, have fun with it, you know, take guys along with me on both the builds, and you know, figure it out from there. All right, so we're gonna show you guys the V6. So this is the V6 as of right now. This is the old engine that we pulled out of it, and then this is, so I ended up wrecking this last year. I did a burnout, ended up hitting a fire hydrant, and so the door was dented in, all that, you know, bad shit. This is the old door, so I ended up buying a door off of a guy. It was blue, which I could show you before and afters as well. You can, and I did my first paint job. It's not too bad, but you know, we're still working. But this is the old door, if you guys can't tell. Bad shape. But like I said, this is the old engine, and then I'll show you guys the new, what we end up actually doing to it. So out with the old and with the new. So there's nothing really too special about it. You know, it's got a stock fucking cold air filter. It's not even a cold air, nothing like that, nothing too special. But other than that, I mean, it runs very well. I can actually start it up for you guys. But I mean, it runs really well. For it being my first ever, it needs an exhaust, if you can't tell. But with it being my first ever, you know, restoration, essentially, or engine pull, I think I did a very good job. Especially my buddy Seth. You know, we worked together on it, and I mean, it turned out very well. So, but this engine here is honestly torched. We left it outside and they had a few storms. We covered it with plastic, but it ended up, the storm ended up eating it. And then, yeah. But, so we had to cut this piece out. If you can't tell here, it's blue. We had to cut that piece out, which was the bottom where the skirt is. We had to weld it back on, all that. And so now I'm gonna go show you guys the V8. So this is the V8 convertible that we were talking about. This one has a nice cold air in it. You know, this one's honestly sits really well. Like I said, it's got a bad housing. I bought a new cap for it, but because it was leaking pretty bad through here. But which she's bone dry. Probably shouldn't start it, but I'm gonna start it for you guys. And then yeah, like I said, we had to replace the intake manifold, which is this right here. This whole thing goes back, so we had to take the throttle body off, all that, and then get to where the injectors are, and all that, and then replace it. And then this is where it was honestly fucking up. So earlier when when I told you my dad blew this, he blew it back here. This piece back here broke off. It was so rusty, like rusted down, that this piece actually blew off, which like basically melted it and then crushed it. The piece was inside the hose. It was in bad shape. But so I had to replace that. Got that done. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, she's in pretty good shape. Like I said, it's got a dent on the side here. My buddy Seth is thinking that the dude, whoever had it before, drove it and it's like made me fuck the frame up or not. I don't believe the frame's fucked up because I've driven it and seen it drive, but like the trunk doesn't shut at all. The exhaust has got a ghetto rig. It's got a tip on this side, but the other side does not. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a fun project, and like I said, we're gonna bring you guys along with us through this whole thing. So I'll go ahead and start it for you. So I'm doing some interior work too, floor panels, stuff like that. This one is a 5-speed manual. The other one is an automatic. But yeah, you can tell she's in bad shape. Something wrong with it, but I'm not gonna say we don't know what's wrong with it, but yeah, there's a lot of shit that needs done with it. But like I said, that's really kind of the point of this channel. Bring you guys along with us and you know, build these two projects up. So yeah.